So, hello and welcome to the third session of the lockdown sessions. So, today we're going to be talking about grief, and we're going to be using a practice really to help us move through grief and help us soothe our nervous system. So, before I dive into that, I just want to say one of the things that is so helpful also to our nervous system is actually tea. There are specific herbs that can really help us calm down and can help bring a sense of calm and peace and groundedness, so soothing to our nervous system. And the one that I'm drinking these days is actually it's marshmallow root. So I found this one to be the one that I just select all the time. But it's good to just try and feel into what is helpful for you right now, what kind of teas that you really feel drawn to. So that can be really helpful. So let's talk about grief. So collective grief is a thing, and it's like within this situation that we are in now. I mean, so many of us are actually really affected by this personally, and so naturally there is going to be a lot of intensity that you're dealing with emotionally and mentally and also just physically. And at the same time, there is also like we have the sensitivity and the sensibility to the collective human consciousness as well. So even for those of us who maybe are in a rather good place still, who don't have a very tangible direct effect from what is happening health wise or finance wise or job wise, or just being in a house with people that maybe you're not used to spending all of this time with, and so patterns of behaviors that really rub us the wrong way, and maybe there's more like uh, intolerance that is flaring up for you as well. So even for those of us who actually feel like we're doing quite okay, there is still always that collective human field of consciousness that we're immersed in. We're all like little drops in the ocean, and so we affect the ocean, but the ocean definitely also affects us. And this is one of the things that I've been feeling definitely. In my personal life, hi. If you're joining live, just say hi and where you're tuning in from. So, in my personal life, things have actually calmed down. Like the intensity of the impact of the situation on us has calmed down. But at the same time, yesterday was one of the most intense feeling days that I've had, with a lot of grief and fear come up, and really having to lean into my practices, and at the same time seeing that they don't always shift things as easily as I normally do. So this is one of the things that I want to talk to as well. Is like we have a responsibility towards ourselves, towards our bodies, to lean into practices that help us soothe our nervous system, that help us come back to center, okay? Because like I talked about in one of the previous lives, when we do that, when we really tap back into our own sense of centeredness, we are able to show up in a much more like calm way for the people around us as well. And at the same time, there will be days when it's really hard to self-soothe and self-regulate. And when that happens, in this society where we've all been trained to be incredibly focused on a goal and to be very like seeking productivity and seeking the 1, 2, 3, 4 step system that is really going to help us succeed at something, When we have a sense that something isn't working for us, we tend to go into this pattern of behavior that is very common for a lot of us, which is we start to shame ourselves for not being able to do the thing that we want to be doing. We start to kind of panic and really look for different practices that are going to help us, but we come at it from this very fear based perspective where we're just grasping at things, right? It's very frantic in a way. So when that happens, when you sense yourself having a day where you're really feeling very affected, um, I would say pay attention to what is happening for you mentally, how you're judging yourself through that, and also bring even more tenderness, more compassion, and more love for yourself as you go through that. Okay, because there will be days when some of our practices just don't really help us shift completely or fully, and there will be days when the intensity kind of sits in our bones, and we just have to move with it through our days. Okay, so when that happens, don't beat yourself up over that. It is something that is just part of the path, and it is something that just happens. And the one thing to do is be incredibly loving towards yourself, you know, on your days like that, and just be okay with it. Okay, so the collective grief, actually we're going towards a full moon next week, and I can feel the intensity even ramp up as we go towards the full moon next week. So I think that this weekend for a lot of us is going to be quite intense. So I want to offer you a couple of practices today that are really going to help you be with your grief and move with the intensity, so that you can bring yourself back to centeredness and groundedness much more, okay? As much as you can. So the first thing that I want to really share with you today is about grief. Sometimes when we're in intense grief and just really intense emotion, we just have to let it move through us. And that can look like so many different things. It can look like needing to cry and really allowing yourself to cry. It can look like just screaming your rage, like feeling helpless about things and needing to just scream at the top of your lungs, scream your rage. It can look like taking a cushion, a pillow, and kind of starting to beat that pillow just because you need a physical release of everything that you've been holding in your body. It can look like doing sprints. So if you're allowed to go outside, which here in Belgium we're in lockdown, but we're still allowed to go outside and go for walks. If you can do that, do sprints, like brief, short sprints are really a good way to release a lot of intense kind of stuck energy within your body. So really help that release. Sometimes dance parties can really be a good thing as well, like almost very primal. Seek out very primal music and then start to really dance in whichever way, jump up and down, make a lot of movement, but again with the idea to channel all of that energy that is locked and stored in your body to really help that release. Okay, so that is something that I invite you to play with. Practices that are quite primal, that are really going to shift a lot of energy for you in a very short amount of time. On days when things feel really intense, sometimes we're just not in the space where we can do breathing. We're not in the space where we can do some of the more soft and gentle practices, and we need to use something that is more primal and releases things in a more physically intense kind of way. Okay, so I would really invite you to lean into that a lot over the next couple of days. And then from there, once you've done that, something else that is really so helpful and supportive is to then start to calm our nervous system back down. And we do this not because we are afraid of the intensity of emotions, but simply because we are the keepers of our bodies, and we have a responsibility to alchemize what is happening for us mentally, emotionally, and physically, and to help our nervous system come back into a self regulated place where things feel more centered and grounded, and from where we we become more available, in fact, to mental clarity, from which we can then take new decisions and make new choices and show up for ourselves and the people in our lives in a different way, in a much more clearly perspective way. So that is why we do this. And two things that I've found really work very, I would say, very fast in a way and very well, is when you've had one of those very intense days and you've used one of the more primal practices to release a lot of energy. And usually that brings with it quite a lot of intense, like, emotions that are vocalized, like screaming rage, or really grief, but that is very vocal in a way. You're weeping, but really weeping in a very vocal way, or shouting when you're dancing or sprinting. So you will feel that there's like a catharsis that happens in your body when you do that. And then after that, it's really a very beautiful and soothing practice to work with two of our main chakra systems. The first one is the heart, and that's where we're going to start today. So let's do just 3 breaths together, okay? Because I've been talking a lot, I need to calm myself down, set myself down too. So just do 3 breathing. Okay. So the breathing itself is already bringing more oxygen into your body in a more regulated way. And so that is already supportive of your nervous system. And then what I would invite you to do is put your one hand here, and then you can choose, either you stack your other hand on top of the other and you sit like this, or you can also do more like this. It depends what feels best to you. So for me, this is usually what I prefer. So closing your eyes and just taking a moment here to really feel yourself calm down. And this is a conscious choice that you're making to really bring yourself back into a space of more calm and centeredness. So breathing into this area of your body, really bringing your breath into your heart space. Okay. And when I do this, after a couple of moments, I actually feel myself really start to become much more centered and grounded and calm. And it feels like this whole area of my body is really activating. I can feel my whole awareness really drop into my heart space. Okay. And so as you start to feel things shift and calm down, and as you start to feel yourself really drop back into that space, one of the things that is really so supportive that we can gift ourselves is talking to ourselves. And really, it's like you're speaking a spell, or you're speaking affirmations and mantras into your chakra system, into your heart space in this case. So the words that I love to use, and I'm inviting you now to repeat them with me, but you feel free to adapt this practice and use whichever words really work for you. So the words that I like to use is I am here. So this is something that I will repeat to myself. I have my hands here and I'll just say, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. So, one of the things that you might notice is, for instance, my body is starting to move. You can really see it on camera as well. It's like it's this a rocking motion, almost as if I'm really like holding myself and I'm rocking back and forth. And that again is such a soothing movement to my nervous system. And sometimes what I also do is I'll notice when I speak these words to myself is my hands start to do this. It's like this very soothing tapping motion on my heart space where I'm like, I'm here, okay? And so, like I said, play with this practice, see what words feel really good to speak to yourself. Feel what movements your body is wanting to do. Because like I said before, your body is so wise, your body knows what to do. Your body knows how to support yourself. And just allow yourself to just, in a way, I call these practices, when I talk about this in the priestess training programs that I run, I really speak about this as the art of holding ourselves, which is, to me, a necessary priestess practice, because you need to be able to know how to hold space for yourself, because before you can really hold space for other people. And so the art of holding ourselves, your body really needs sometimes for you to hold it physically and to speak to it physically and to let it know that you've got your own back, that you're here with and for yourself. So the last thing that I want to mention today, which is linked again to working with our chakra system to self-soothe, is working with our root chakra. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So let's see if I can do this elegantly. So yeah, that looks good. So just here, just above like your tailbone, right? Put in your hands like this, okay? So when we do this, we actually put our hands in a place of our body at the lower end of our spine, which is just like above the root chakra. And when you have your hands there, like I'm going to do it like this, when you have your hands there, again, just lean into that for a minute. Just lean into your own hands, which is again a way of really soothing and regulating our nervous system by holding ourselves physically. And just breathing here, leaning into it, really feeling a quite firm pressure with the palms of your hands in this area of your body. And then I like to speak into that area as well. And words that I'll use, and we can do this together again. So just settle, breathe, and then I am held. I am safe. I am held. I'm safe. I'm okay. I'm here. So do this for a couple of minutes, and really feel what that feels like. Feel how this is calming your nervous system, how this is really regulating your whole being in such a powerful way. And one of the things that I also like to do is when I have my hands on my back like this, is like I said, firm pressure, really leaning into it. And by speaking these words, I am reminding myself that in this moment, I am safe, right? Even though there's a lot of chaos in our lives right now and in the world, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of unknowns, I can still be with myself in this moment, and I can still bring myself soothing, and I can still remind myself that in this moment I am safe and I am held by myself. Okay, so I hope this was useful to you. If you've got any questions at all, please just reach out to me, send me a message, a private message on Instagram, or comment on this video. I'm always really happy to explain more, or to point to other resources, or just to connect and listen to what is happening for you. Okay, so we'll speak again on Monday, so same time, 11 a.m. Brussels time. And I hope you're well. I hope you are safe. I hope you feel held. I wish you all the best.